Welcome to Life Report. Today I have a sit-down interview with Tori Harris, a Catholic recording artist based in Dallas, Texas. She was here in Fresno performing at Holy Spirit Catholic Church for a wonderful concert that was put on by Possibility Productions. Tori Harris is actively pro-life. She has partnered with Save the Storks, an organization that helps make pregnancy centers mobile, and has shared the pro-life message with her fans. She has recently released her music video, Less of Me, that highlights the March for Life in Washington, D.C. Here's my interview with Tori Harris, but first, let's enjoy her latest music video.
Lord, here I stand. Here are my hands. They're fragile and they're small and they're empty, but I give them all to you. Lord, here I find. Here is my mind. Oh, it's ignorant, it's dim, and it's prideful, but I give it all to you. May there be less of me and more of you. May there be less of me, my God. May there be less of me and more of you. May there be less of me, my God. 'Cause I'm small and I'm fragile and I'm empty, but I give it all to you. And Lord, I'll be still. Here is my will. Oh, it's stubborn and it's selfish and it's weak, but I give it all to you. May there be less of me and more of you. May there be less of me, my God. May there be less of me and more of you. May there be less of me, my God. And love, come quickly, fall upon me. Love, come quickly, fall upon me. Love, come quickly, fall upon me. Love, come, love, come, so that there's less in me and more of you. May there be less of me, my God. May there be less of me and more of you. May there be less of me, my God. May there be less of me and more of you. May there be less of me, my God. 'Cause I'm ignorant, I'm dim, and I'm prideful. Oh, I'm stubborn and I'm selfish and I'm weak, and I give it all to you.
Tori, just tell us a little bit how you became pro-life, actively pro-life in your life. Yeah.
Actively pro-life?
Actively pro-life.
Actively. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I grew up totally programmed by like the Catholic, not the Catholic media, the actual media, like the secular media, which said that, that it was a woman's right to choose. And so like growing up, I was like, well, I'm against abortion personally, you know, but I'm not going to stand in the way of another woman choosing that for herself. And in college, my friend Tori Harris, one day she tricked me into going to a sidewalk to like pray in front of an abortion clinic for the women in the clinic, right? I thought we were going to an adoration holy hour. Lori had different plans. And so all of a sudden, like I find myself in front of this abortion clinic and I feel like a bigot. I feel like this prejudiced person, like I'm keeping my head down. I don't want anyone to see me because I'm embarrassed, right? And anyways, so these women were walking in and then they would come out with these little blue bags. Like a couple of them would come out with these blue bags. And you know, like after an hour of being in front of the clinic, like, you know, I was like peeking up and kind of looking. And so I see these blue bags and I'm like, Lori, like, what are these?
Yeah.
What are these? Like, why is it like I don't know, they have like floss and a toothbrush, you know, like, like what's in the bag?
Hygiene material, what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, and Lori was like really quietly, she goes and she gets me this pamphlet about the abortion pill. And I started reading it, and Lori starts to tell me that the women get an injection when they're at the clinic, and then over the period of a few hours, like it actually shuts off life to the developing child. And then they have, in the bag was this pill that they would take that would induce labor so that their body could flush out all of the dead tissue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I remember just as I like had learned that from her, I look up and another woman walks out of the clinic with the blue bag. And I focus on her stomach. And there's just this like moment where I understood that she was this walking coffin. That she had walked in with something alive and was leaving with something dead. And you know, that moment changed everything for me.
Yeah.
In the pro-life
what an
cause.
intense reality of.
Oh, it just made it. And so what ended up happening was like, I screamed, you know, like, because like, what else do you do? It's like, you know, I mean, if you're witnessing like, you know, some guy like beat a person up like on the sidewalk, like you would scream or you would like try to run for help. And I remember like trying to run to like go to that woman because I was like, I had so many emotions. And Lori has to hold me back, and she's like, no, you can't you can't leave the sidewalk, Tori. They'll arrest you. You can't leave. And then that was like really where I was like, oh, I have to get involved in this, because never have I felt like so helpless against an injustice, so helpless against it. And you know, I've been really active in the pro-life movement ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's an intense story. I don't think a lot of people get to experience something like that, where it's become, I guess, a moment of realization, like, aha, like that moment, like it is a life and it is death, you know, and that's something you can't come back from.
It's kind of like you don't understand war until you go on the front lines and you see it. I didn't understand it until I saw it.
Great way to put it. Now you do your music ministry, and that's what you do full time. Are you pro-life through your music ministry?
You know, I think I'm pro-life through music, number one, because when you invite people into worship, like you're inviting the Lord to begin to change their heart. And the way we're going to fight, the way we fight in the pro-life movement is conversion, you know. But in other ways, on top of the music, I'm a really huge fan of this pro-life group called Save the Storks.
Yes.
So what they do is they like they'll build these incredible Mercedes like ultrasound units that they'll park in front of abortion clinics. And what they found is that 4 out of 5 women who step on their mobile ultrasound unit will choose life for their child, meaning that Save the Storks has one of the highest success rates, conversion rates, for women that were seeking abortion than choosing life for their child. So I went on tour last year with Save the Storks, and what we would do is like in the middle of the concert we would stop and we would talk to our audiences and our fans about how if they were to give $1 a day to the Save the Storks organization, that over the course of the year that dollar would financially represent the life of one child.
Wow,
so we do different things like that.
And like they can donate, and they know that their money is going to actually change. Instead of just donating, you don't know where the money's going. It's actually going to something physical, no cause. You know,
so
you can see it.
my plug for Save the Storks if you're watching, you know, is, yeah, what they've done is they've taken like the average number of lives saved per year with one of their mobile units, and they've divided by like the cost that it takes to operate that unit.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if someone wants to get involved with that ministry, where can they find them online? Just go SaveTheStorks.com.
Yeah, SaveTheStorks.com.
Okay.
Buy a T-shirt. Get the bracelet.
Do it now.
Get the backpack.
I know a lot of you guys are watching us online. Make sure you do that now.
They make amazing Christmas presents. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what you do.
I recently saw your music video, Less of Me, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The song itself is great. I've heard it on Immaculate Heart Radio.
Thanks.
And they play it all the time. But I want to know, why did you choose, it features the March for Life, and why did you choose the March for Life to kind of be the visual background for that music video?
Well, the music video is really serendipitous. It was just like a blessing that it even happened in the first place. I was invited to play this event with Cardinal Dolan right before the march started. There was a private event for those from the Archdiocese of New York, and this incredible man named Rob Murphy hired Coronation Media to come out and film both the event with Cardinal Dolan and then like our group marching for the March for Life. And so they put all this video content together, and we were like, you know, it would be really great to put a song behind it. And so when we were going through my catalog, you know, I don't have a lot of songs that are like explicitly pro-life, but Less of Me seemed to actually be the best fit. Like, number one, it's a slow song, and for such a somber and really like dramatic piece, like you don't want to have like a hey, let's, you know, you don't want something like that. But also the message of Less of Me kind of, I think, hits at the heart of the pro-life movement right now. What ends up happening is women that are choosing abortion and liberals that are promoting it and saying that it's okay. It's all like founded and like rooted in this ideology that like I am the most important, and when I make decisions, I am the most important. And Less of Me is about the truth and the reality that we take on as Christians, that like, let me be less and God be greater. And I think that as Christians, if we were truly pro-life in every way, like we need to put ourselves second and others first.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can see that a lot of women, they're looking for options, or they're looking for some help, and they're not receiving it. So they choose the easy way, and choose abortion over the hard way of having a life and struggling through whatever they might be going through.
Yeah.
And really, if they focused on, I have to be the least and put this child before me, then they might consider life.
Yeah, and I think we as a Christian community as well, if you think about, like, I have girlfriends who were in crisis pregnancy situations or thought they might be pregnant, and I remember being there with them when they're like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I think, like, as a Christian community, like, the number one response these women had as a reason to choose abortion had nothing to do with, oh, it's going to ruin my career. It was, oh my gosh, what's my mother going to say? What's my father going to say? My church community is going to disown me. And I think if we as a Christian culture can just like get away with this expectation of perfectionism,
yeah,
and embrace like the human person, if we could be less, you know,
yeah,
as a community, that would also like really help the cause of women to just understand that, like, not only is that baby important, but she's important, and her mistakes like are, I don't want to say her mistakes are important, but like that we're not going to shame her and shun her and push her away just because of that.
And that might be the first thought, and a lot of people just dwell on that, like, how can she do this to us, or how can, shame the family like this? But if you look beyond that and think, well, now there's a life living in her, and this life is going to bring so much joy to our family. And once, I've had conversations with people where they're like, that was our first thought, and then we decided to choose life because of what we believe. But now having the child there, we can't imagine life without her or without him. Life is just so much better with them. And how can we have thought of eradicating that life for our own selfish reasons?
Because you weren't thinking of it as a life at that point.
You really weren't. Yeah, but it's touching to see like the after stories when people choose life, and then they see how great of a choice that is, because the impact it has on their family, on their own lives, and life wouldn't be the same without them.
Or even on adoptive families.
Oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
the number of women that I know, couples struggling with infertility. A friend of mine, Katie, just got news that her and her husband were selected as a couple for adoption, and like, it wouldn't have happened, you know, if the birth mother hadn't chosen life.
That's true.
You know?
So very true. There's a lot of families out there that are looking to adopt, and they don't have, you know, and a lot of them want to adopt babies, you know, and for someone to give that blessing to someone else, I mean, yeah, maybe they've made a mistake in their lives, but good can come from it. And giving life to another family like that, how amazing.
Yeah, and like our God is sovereign. I think we forget how sovereign God is. And like God knew before you were born that you're probably gonna make that decision and get pregnant, you know, which means that God like ordained the family that he wanted that child to be raised with.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just amazing, just like, it's something I've just personally been meditating on lately, is just how sovereign God is. And then what happens when I forget that?
Yeah, he has a plan for us for sure.
He does.
Sometimes we don't see it, and sometimes
sometimes we don't like it.
Sometimes we don't like it. Very
like,
true.
Really, Lord?
But he definitely has a plan. It's all for our good. So.
Because, you know, 10 years from now, when I go to the march, instead of seeing a bunch of high schoolers and their youth ministers, what I want to see is those high schoolers as mothers and fathers with their children.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to see them just be a part of that pro-life movement for their lives.